In this video, we're going to talk about how to use the code block inside your Docassemble interviews. The code block is an easy way to use Python code inside the interview itself. This is a really powerful feature of Docassemble, and as far as I'm aware, it's unique to Docassemble. There are many other document generation pieces of software out there on the internet or that you can download, but Docassemble is the only one that I know of that lets you use Python within the interview itself. So you can see here on my screen, I've already created a YAML file for an interview called code block. I have my first question up here at the top, which is welcome to the calculatorizer, and the sub-question, this will add two numbers together. I have two fields, a first number and a second number, and I've set them to both be integers, so the user can only put in whole numbers inside these fields. What I want my interview to do is add fnum and snum, the two numbers that the user is going to input, together to make answer. The way that I'm going to do that is with a code block. So below my question here, I'll put in a code block by writing code, the up and down pipe, and then I'm going to write an equation. Answer equals fnum plus snum. And let's save and see if I get any errors. And Docassemble seems to be happy. So let's see what happens when I do save and run. Put in my first number, second number, and hit continue. And sure enough, I get the sum of 15. So what this is doing is it's taking my two variables here, which are fnum and snum, and then adding them together and saying the sum of those is equal to answer. It's taking the sum here after performing this operation and filling the answer variable with it, and then when I have the answer variable down here and tell Docassemble to display it with the $sign and the little curly brackets, it will pull it from this code block. Now this is a really simple thing that you can do with Docassemble with a code block, but you can do things that are way more powerful. You can even create Python functions where in the code block you create a function called summit, and we're going to pass in one parameter here, one keyword argument. Two keyword arguments. Put a colon and put in our answer. When you do functions like this in Python, you have to indent everything that comes after the def. Def is short for define, so you're defining a function. And then we're saying answer is fnum plus snum, and then you have to return answer so that it can be used. So if I do return answer, and then here, if I click save, it'll give me an error because answer is technically undefined. Docassemble's looking for answer to see where it can find it in this interview file, and even though I'm returning answer, Docassemble can't see that because it's within the Python function itself. So really, instead of answer, what I need to tell Docassemble to look for is this right here. And then if I hit save, Docassemble's happy again, and this should work the same way. The sum is 17. So if you're familiar at all with creating Python functions or writing Python code, you can start to see some of the things that you can do right inside the interview itself with Docassemble. You can create even more powerful functions. Let's say I wanted to delete this and go back to what I had and just use this as a calculator. I'm going to hit save, and Docassemble's mad because I didn't delete this, and we need to put an answer at the end. And Docassemble's happy again. So let's say we wanted to do a new field here. And I'm going to call it choice. And I'm going to use a multiple choice field here. I'm actually going to pull it from down here. There we go. Let's do this. Choices. I keep harping on the Docassemble documentation when I do these videos, and this is why. It just makes life easy. Add, subtract, let's do multiply. Multiply. Okay, let's save. See if I messed anything up. Okay, so choice shows up here as yellow. So it's a variable that doesn't do anything, but we're going to do something with it. So in our code block, instead of just having answer equals fnum plus snum, because that's just addition, let's give the user some autonomy and let them choose whether or not they want to add, subtract, or multiply these variables. So what I'm going to do here in the code block is I'm going to use some if statements. If choice equals add, and then if choice equals subtract, answer equals, let's do first number minus the second number. And then if choice equals multiply, we'll do answer equals fnum times snum. Okay, let's see if we did anything wrong here. Okay, this will work, but it's bad Python code. I realized this as I was writing it. Really in Python we should do elif and then there's really only three choices, but we should have an escape valve here with else. And what I'm doing here is I have my if statement up here, and what Python does is it reads line by line through these if statements. So it's going to read line 18 first and say, okay, is the choice equal to, and that's those two equal signs, is it equal to add? If it is, then I'm going to do answer equals fnum plus snum, and I've got answer, and that's great. Cool. Okay. But if it's not equal to add, I'm going to look down here on line 20, and this is elif, which stands for else if. So if it's not add, then I'm going to go to line 20. I'm going to look at it and see if it's equal to subtract, and if it is, I'm going to do fnum minus snum. If it's not subtract and it's not add, then I'm going to go down here and say, okay, is it equal to multiply? If it is, then I'm going to multiply them together with a little star or doodad. And if none of this is true right here, then I'm going to pass, which means just don't do anything. Okay, let's save it and see if I did anything wrong. Docassemble seems to be happy, but the real test is when we do save and run. Alright, let's do first number is 5, second number is 3, and I want to multiply them together. Let's see what happens. Sum is 15. Really not a sum, but I haven't changed that, so it did multiply it. So if I go back and do, I want to subtract, sum is 2, really the difference. It's been a long time since I took a math class. The remainder is 2, so you kind of see where this is going. So back at the playground, you can see here in my code, I'm doing some logic and seeing, what's up with this variable here. I'm giving the user some autonomy, and that's all in 31 lines of code. Really kind of unique to Docassemble that you can use these code blocks and pass in real Python code inside the interview itself. So some good examples of why you may want to do this or why you may need to do this in a Docassemble interview could be that you are creating some sort of report and you're asking the user to input dollar amounts, and you want to create a monthly sum from what they're putting in, or you want to have them put in their monthly revenue or their monthly income and then give them like a yearly total or an average or something like that. Again, that's just doing math with Python. There's more that you can do, but it's really powerful if you need to do that kind of thing. You can do it right there in the interview. So I encourage you, when you're writing code in Docassemble, to experiment with what you can and can't do. Docassemble is really good at letting you know if you've done something wrong. It'll get mad at you and throw up an error here in this right-hand window. But seriously, play around with it. Code blocks can do a lot for you in your interview, do a lot of heavy lifting, and make your life easier, which is a great thing when using Docassemble.